I don't want to sound arrogant, but I think what it is being so good at what I do that it's just almost never enough. Um, I'm very aware that that the Tom Aspinall is like it's making more headlines than Stipe. When I win, there's always an excuse. Well, oh, he really wasn't that well rounded, and it's hard to compare to any other fighter because I don't think any other fighter in our sports history has ever had to deal with it. I just beat Cyril Gain, and we can go back in a time machine and hear the way that people talked about Gain. And then as soon as I beat him, he's like, oh well, he wasn't that, or he's this, and like, so it's a very interesting place to be in, and and it just is what it is.
Jon Jones drops bombshell. The heavyweight division is in complete chaos, and Jones just sent a crystal clear message to Tom Aspinall and every single one of his haters. In a bold statement that's shaking the entire UFC community, Bones declared, "I've never claimed to be the best, but somehow I keep ending up with my hand raised." Jones haters frustrated these days, as one of the greatest fighters of all time refuses to face his biggest challenger, and the entire MMA world is demanding answers. Let's get you up to speed on what's become the most controversial storyline in modern UFC history. Jon Jones currently holds the undisputed UFC heavyweight championship, but here's where it gets messy. Tom Aspinall holds the interim heavyweight title. In normal circumstances, these two would fight to unify the belts, but nothing about this situation is normal. For over 800 days, Jones has been the heavyweight champion, successfully defending his title just once, against Stipe Miocic, last November at UFC 390. Meanwhile, Tom Aspinall has been sitting on the sidelines since his devastating 60-second knockout of Curtis Blades back in July, waiting for his shot at the undisputed crown.
I guess the clarifying question then is, if Dana and Hunter do come to you after this fight, the figures make sense to you, would you then be open to fighting Tom Aspinall, or are you categorically thinking, he does nothing for me, I will not fight that guy?
He does nothing for me. He does nothing for me. If you're a person that wants to see me really challenged, then I get it. 7 years younger, like 35 pounds bigger than me, right? I get it. It's like, wow, this John's so good. We finally found someone way younger and way bigger than him. Let's see how he does against that. I get that narrative. But for me, if you were my manager, if you were on my team, why not fight against Pereira, a guy who's the same age as you, and we walk around the same exact size? Business-wise, it makes more sense. I'm going to call him this, fight the nobody that may be more dangerous, or fight the guy with all the accolades who's incredibly dangerous, but it actually will affect your legacy.
The problem? Jones doesn't seem interested in giving him that shot. Despite UFC President Dana White's claims that Jones agreed to the fight, the champion is now hinting at retirement instead of facing Aspinall. This has created an unprecedented situation where the heavyweight division is essentially frozen, with fans growing more frustrated by the day. The drama reached new heights when Dana White dropped a bombshell last weekend, claiming that Jon Jones had actually agreed to fight Tom Aspinall. According to White, Jon Jones agreed to do the fight. Jon Jones was offered the deal and accepted the deal. Jon agreed to fight Tom, yes.
To clarify, you said that Jon agreed to fight Tom, yes?
Jon agreed to fight Tom?
Is that what you just said there? Before, like on the last answer, you said...
Jon agreed to fight Tom, yes.
So but he hasn't signed a contract or anything.
Right. Yeah.
So
I mean, you guys have heard me for the last however long. I said, I guarantee you this fight's going to happen. This fight's going to happen. Fight's going to happen. You guys told me the crazy shit that was going on Instagram and all these other places. But yes, I've been saying Jon is going to fight Tom.
There's some rumors out there that you guys had offered him his fuck you money and he turned it down.
Unless you hear it come from here or we put out a press release, don't believe any of this bullshit. But yes, Jon agreed to fight Tom. Fact.
But here's where things get interesting. White also revealed that the UFC agreed to pay Jones what he demanded. Quote, "F you money for this fight." We're talking about a massive payday that would make this one of the biggest fights in UFC history.
Buying a little duck and just the little shit that he does. He's annoying to me, and I just don't like him. If I give him the opportunity to fight me, I want to be so compensated. I want that fuck you money.
However, despite these claims from his own boss, Jones appears to be backtracking, with recent social media activity suggesting he's more interested in vacating the belt and retiring than actually stepping into the octagon with Aspinall. This contradiction between what White says happened and what Jones is actually doing has left everyone scratching their heads. If you thought the situation couldn't get more intense, think again. Jon Jones recently sent Tom Aspinall an 8-word direct message that has the entire MMA community talking. When Aspinall made comments about not caring specifically about fighting Jones, but just wanting the championship title, Jones fired back with a brutal response.
I will leave you with this. At the weigh-ins for the Dirty Boxing event this past Friday, the one in Miami, Jon Jones now, it has been announced as a part owner. There was a bit of a chant in attendance. You know we love the Tommy Aspinall chant. Here's Jon reacting to a chant at the weigh-ins.
I like that one.
You're on his mind there, Tommy. You see that? You're on his mind.
He looks a bit uncomfortable there. He looks a bit awkward.
You know what? He's right. You are an asshole, Tom. You are an asshole for that response.
I'm just being. I mean, everyone's an asshole sometimes, especially me. So I don't take offense to it. But yeah, he did look a bit uncomfortable to me. He looks a bit awkward.
Oh God!
Shut your mouth and do as you're told. This message perfectly encapsulates the power dynamic that Jones believes he holds in this situation. He's essentially telling the interim champion, a man who many consider to be the most dangerous heavyweight on the planet, to stay quiet and wait his turn. It's a level of disrespect that's rarely seen in professional sports, especially when directed at someone who has a legitimate claim to a title shot. Jon Jones' former rival Daniel Cormier isn't staying quiet about this mess. DC recently unleashed a scathing critique of Jones's behavior, and he didn't hold back. Cormier made it clear what he would do in Jones's position. If I was still fighting today and I was still the heavyweight champion and Tom Aspinall was the no-one contender, I would have already fought him, 1,000%.
That's how I feel about that. We fought them all. I can tell you guys on good authority, if I was still fighting today, and I was still the heavyweight champion, and Tom Aspinall was the #1 contender, I would have already fought him. 1,000%.
But Cormier went even further, calling out Jones' recent boasts about making more money than his critics. When Jones tweeted that he makes their annual salary in a week, Cormier fired back with inside knowledge from the UFC, essentially saying that's not true. Most importantly, Cormier addressed the elephant in the room, Jones' legacy. He said, if you're the greatest, you go fight him. That's how it works. Cormier believes that if Jones retires without fighting Aspinall, he's not really retiring, he's quitting. And for a man who's built his entire career on being the best, that's a devastating accusation.
But at the end of the day, there's another young up-and-coming guy that Tom deserves an opportunity to fight the greatest. If you're the greatest, you go fight him.
The MMA community isn't just sitting back and watching this unfold. A fan petition demanding that the UFC strip Jon Jones of his heavyweight title has gone absolutely viral, approaching 200,000 signatures and growing by the hour. What started as a frustrated cry from 20,000 fans in the first week has exploded into a movement that the UFC can no longer ignore. While Dana White dismissed the petition as silly, and Jones himself seems unbothered by the numbers, the message is clear. Fans are fed up with the heavyweight division being held hostage.
It's a conversation we've had many times now, the Tom Aspinall-Jon Jones fight. It's a bit different now, right? Because Jon's been tweeting a lot about the fact that he's told you his plans, he's ready to vacate the belt, and all the rest of it.
He said he's ready to vacate the belt?
He said he doesn't care if you strip him, he would vacate it.
Crazy. Yeah, I've been busy. I haven't been keeping up with the gossip. He comes back. He's either back today or came back yesterday or whenever he's in Thailand. So he's home. We'll be home tonight, Tuesday. We'll figure this out.
But if he doesn't fight Tom Aspinall and he does walk away, Do you think he's ducked him? Would you?
Tom Aspinall's the guy. He's the guy. Listen, if the guy wants to retire and doesn't want to fight, nothing you do. I didn't want Habib to retire. I thought DC should have stayed in it longer. So it's none of my business. I'll do what I can to make the fight if we can. If he's talking that crazy shit, I didn't realize that.
This level of fan revolt is unprecedented in UFC history, showing just how frustrated people are with the current situation. Here's the harsh truth that nobody wants to admit. Not Jones might be scared. Not scared of getting hurt, but scared of losing his perfect legacy. At 37 years old, Jones has never been defeated in a legitimate contest. Tom Aspinall represents everything that could end that streak. He's young, explosive, and has knockout power that could end any fight in seconds. Jones has beaten legends. He's beaten prospects. He's beaten everyone they've put in front of him for over a decade. But Tom Aspinall is different. He's the new generation, the future of the heavyweight division, and he's exactly the type of fighter who could catch Jones and end his legendary run.
I don't have much fighting left in me. That's because I started at a very young age at the highest level in the world. Once your reaction time starts to go, it's going. Like your ability to see something coming and react to it quick enough. The UFC, I and Tom, we all got a lot of stuff happening behind the scenes. They're one of the biggest organizations in sports, and right now Tom and I have agreed to wait for the UFC to make their announcements. So I legally can't really talk about it.
The question becomes, is it better to retire undefeated or risk everything for one more fight that could cement or destroy your legacy? For Jones, it seems like he's leaning toward the safe option regardless of what fans, critics, or even his own boss want. As we wrap up tonight's coverage, remember Jon Jones' warning to his haters. I've never claimed to be the best, but somehow I keep ending up with my hand raised. Jones' haters frustrated these days. But the question remains, will he get the chance to raise his hand one more time against Tom Aspinall, or will he walk away from the biggest fight in heavyweight history?
Did you see the petition online from the fans?
Yeah.
What did you just make of that?
Every human on earth was DMing it to me, and yeah, I saw it.
Did you sign the petition?
No, I did not.
The UFC heavyweight division hangs in the balance. 200,000 fans are demanding action, and the entire MMA world is watching. This story is far from over, and we'll continue following every twist and turn as it develops. Stay tuned for more breaking news from the world of mixed martial arts. This has been your comprehensive breakdown of the Jon Jones-Tom Aspinall saga. We'll see you next time.
Oil me up.
They got him the money. But, there was a back and forth. They got him that money. They finally got him that money. And he said yes. And then he said no. And since he said no, they've been trying to figure out a way to get him to do this fight. One last fight. He ain't budging. That he is not interested. When I say not interested, I don't mean not interested in fighting. I mean not interested in fighting Tom Aspinall specifically. He thinks he's having like the greatest run on Twitter. He's making a mockery of his legacy. Show me a great champion. Show me a great, from Jordan to Tom Brady to Ali to Lemieux to Gretzky. Show me someone who acted like this in their final chapter. This is forever why GSP will be my GOAT. The guy who represented the company, a guy who represented the sport, and did the jobs in the cage. He never embarrassed himself, his country, the sport, the organization. He always did the right thing. Can we say the same about Jon? And I'm not taking a shot here. History is history. But Jon ain't doing the right thing right now.
Dana White has sent a crystal clear warning to Jon Jones, while interim champion Tom Aspinall delivers a brutal reality check that has the MMA world talking. When the UFC president says you can't make people fight and the interim champ declares everybody's got a time limit, he's reached it and we move on, you know we're at a breaking point. Stay with us as we break down the biggest story shaking the UFC right now.
Everybody reaches a sell-by date, don't they? Everybody's got a time limit. He's reached it. And we move on.
I reckon anyone else in that position would have been stripped. I was talking to Adam Caffel about it the other week.
Yeah, seen it.
He should be stripped now.
It obviously was a bit annoying at the time, but it's all in the past now. We're moving forward. Everything's good. We can get fighting again. And I just want to get fighting, mate. Do you know what I mean?
Must be fucking sick of getting asked about that,
It's it's not the best. You know what? It's better now because I do know what's going on a little bit, and I am going to fight soon, so that's nice. But for like the last kind of 6 months, I've just not known what's going on. Do you know what the worst bit is? Is like, you know this yourself. It's like money, fame, titles, rankings, all that aside, I just love fighting.
Yeah, exactly.
I just like fighting people. That's what I got into it for. I didn't get into it for anything else. All the other stuff is just like nice to have on top. I want to be the best fighter I can be. I love it. I'm in the gym every day. I just want to fight. That's been taken away from me for like nearly a year now. And that's got nothing to do with me, which is, it's a bit frustrating to be honest, but we are nearly over it now, which is good.
Let's start with Dana White's bombshell admission at the UFC 316 post-fight press conference. For months, White has been guaranteeing this fight would happen. His exact words, "I guarantee this fight is going to happen. This fight's going to happen." But now, the tune has completely changed.
To clarify, you said that Jon agreed to fight Tom, yes?
Jon agreed to fight Tom?
Is that what you just said there? Before, like on the last answer, you said...
Jon agreed to fight Tom, yes.
So but he hasn't signed a contract or anything.
Right. Yeah.
So
I mean, you guys have heard me for the last however long. I said, I guarantee you this fight's going to happen. This fight's going to happen. Fight's going to happen. You guys told me the crazy shit that was going on Instagram and all these other places. But yes, I've been saying Jon is going to fight Tom.
There were some rumors out there that you guys had offered him his fuck you money and he turned it down.
Unless you hear it come from here or we put out a press release, don't believe any of this bullshit. But yes, Jon agreed to fight Tom. Fact.
White revealed that Jon Jones actually agreed to fight Tom Aspinall. The deal was offered. The deal was accepted. Everything was set in motion for what would have been targeted for UFC 322 in November. But here's where it gets interesting and frustrating for fight fans. White's once unwavering confidence is now fading fast. His warning to Jones was clear. Listen, you can't make people fight. If Jon doesn't want to fight, you can't make him fight. We can try to make him fight. We can throw things at him that inspire him to want to fight. But we'll figure it out.
Forever about it, and it's his fight. Listen, you can't make people fight. If Jon doesn't want to fight, can't make him fight. We can try to make him fight. We can throw things at him that inspire him to want to fight, but
that's not the language of a promoter who's confident his biggest star is ready to deliver. That's the language of someone preparing for disappointment. So what exactly did the UFC offer to make this fight happen? According to our sources and former UFC title challenger Chael Sonnen, we're talking about serious money. Sonnen claims Jones was offered a guaranteed purse of $12 million, 0 cents, which would make it the biggest check anyone has ever got from the UFC. We're talking about beating out Brock Lesnar, Georges St-Pierre, and every other major star in company history.
Allegedly, the number that Jon wanted, and I believe that to be $12 million. Got my own sources. I don't believe that Jon's turned it down. Even though Ariel's confirmed it, even though that's believed in our industry, I do not believe that Jon Jones got a phone call matching Jon Jones's demands and he said no. And I do not believe that Jon Jones would play that game of chicken. Moreover, I don't believe that if he did, we wouldn't have heard about it. If they believe it, if it's to the point that they're ready to move on, it's to the point when they're done trying is when they go book a different fight for Tom.
Remember, Joe Rogan had initially claimed Jones demanded $30 million, 0 cents, though Dana White quickly shot that down. But $12 million, 0 cents? That's still life-changing money for what many consider the most important fight in. Here's the kicker. This came after Jones himself demanded what he called "FU money" to take the fight. The UFC apparently met those demands, and now Jones is reportedly having second thoughts about retirement.
I'll tell you guys right now, as a person that has been involved in big fights, a person that has sold pay-per-views, a person that at his time was at the top of the pay scale, $30 million was literally a world away from anything we were making. I remember when I got paid in New York, I got like a big bump to take a fight on 3 weeks' notice, which ultimately became my salary. And people were astounded with the number. But hold on, let me see. Let me look at the gate from Madison Square Garden. A $16 million gate. That's a massive gate. That's a massive gate from Jon Jones. Okay, how many pay-per-views did they sell? Now, when you start looking at it like that, you start going, I don't know if his ask is as crazy as people are saying. Now that ask is not so crazy.
Yeah, I want that few money.
Think about that for a moment. the UFC agreed to pay Jon Jones more money than any fighter in company history, and he's still considering walking away. While Dana White is trying to convince Jon Jones to fight, Tom Aspinall has apparently heard enough. The interim heavyweight champion delivered what might be the most brutal assessment of this entire situation. Speaking with Paddy Pimblett, Aspinall didn't hold back. He's living his best life, mate, in Thailand. Everybody reaches their sell-by date, don't they? Everybody's got a time limit, he's reached it, and we move on.
Losing? They weren't when they were winning. Gotta ask you. You know what I'm gonna ask you first? Jon Jones.
Oh yeah. That old one, living his best life, mate, isn't he, in Thailand? So everybody reaches a sell-by date, don't they? Everybody's got a time limit. He's reached it, and we move on.
I reckon anyone.
That's not just trash talk. That's a man who's done waiting, Aspinall continued. It obviously was a bit annoying at the time, but it's all in the past now. We're moving forward, everything's good, we can get fighting again, and I just want to get fighting, mate.
Else in that position would have been stripped. I was talking to Adam Cattle about it the other week.
Yeah, seen it.
He should be stripped now.
It obviously was a bit annoying at the time, but it's all in the past now. We're moving forward. Everything's good. We can get fighting again, and I just want to get fighting, mate. Do you know what I mean?
Must be fucking sick of getting that.
The most telling part? Aspinall revealed he now knows what's happening with his career, and it sounds like it doesn't involve Jon Jones. It's better now because I do know what's going on a little bit. I am going to fight soon, so that's nice. After nearly a year of waiting, Tom Aspinall is ready to move on without Jones. This isn't the first time Jon Jones has been stripped of a UFC title. In fact, it's happened twice before in his career. Back in 2015, Dana White had to strip Jones of his light heavyweight title after his involvement in a hit-and-run accident with a pregnant woman. White's words then were eerily similar to now. Obviously, he's very disappointed. He wanted to go down as one of the greats, or the greatest ever. It's the decision we had to make.
I find myself driving right into ongoing traffic.
The guy just hopped off into a yard. The guy that's getting out of the SUV, he took off running.
I was very disappointed with you with that car accident thing.
Yeah.
When you ran away from that car accident.
Dude, I wonder if this is that fighter's car. Who? Jon Jones?
APD tells us that crash sent a pregnant woman in her 20s to the hospital with minor injuries.
You know, I think in some people's mind, they envision me, hitting this car and running up and seeing that it was a pregnant lady and then taking off running.
Jones was also stripped a second time after testing positive for banned substances before his rematch with Daniel Cormier. Now, fans are calling for White to strip Jones of his heavyweight title for essentially holding up the division. The pattern is clear. When Jon Jones creates problems, the UFC eventually has to make tough decisions. So where does this leave the heavyweight division? Curtis Blades offered some perspective, saying Jones can't be scared, but acknowledging the risk versus reward scenario. If he was honest with himself, he hasn't beat a real prime heavyweight. The UFC appears to be preparing for life without Jones at heavyweight. Reports suggest they're looking at Cyril Gane as a potential opponent for Tom Aspinall, likely for the undisputed title if Jones is stripped. For Jones, this represents walking away from the biggest payday in UFC history and potentially tarnishing his legacy by avoiding the fight that would truly cement his heavyweight credentials.
The fans made a petition to strip Jon Jones of the belt with almost 200,000 signatures. What are your thoughts on this?
So I think a fight between Jon Jones and Tom Aspinall is bigger if they are both champions. I'm hopeful they're going to fight in December in Las Vegas. I have no inside information, but I don't know that Jon Jones really gives a rip if they strip him of the heavyweight championship. He's still going to fight Tom, hopefully, and it's still going to be a bag.
The Jon Jones-Tom Aspinall saga has become a masterclass in how not to handle a super fight. With the UFC's biggest offer in history on the table and an interim champion ready to move on, we're witnessing what might be the end of the Jon Jones era. Will Jones take the money and fight? Will he retire and walk away? Or will Dana White finally pull the trigger and strip him of the title? One thing's certain, Tom Aspinall isn't waiting around anymore. As he put it perfectly, everybody's got a time limit. He's reached it and we move on. That's all for tonight's UFC Central. Thanks for watching and we'll see you next time.
Everybody reaches a sell-by date, don't they? Everybody's got a time limit. He's reached it, and we move on.
I reckon anyone else in that position would have been stripped. I was talking to Adam Cattle about it the other week.
Yeah,
like,
seen it.
He should be stripped now.
It obviously was a bit annoying at the time, but it's all in the past now. We're moving forward. Everything's good. We can get fighting again, and I just want to get fighting, mate. Do you know what I mean?
Must be fucking sick of getting asked about that. You know,
it's yeah, it's not the best. You know what? It's better now because I do know what's going on a little bit, and I am going to fight soon, so that's nice. But for like the last kind of 6 months, I've just not known what's going on. Do you know what the worst bit is? Is like, you know this yourself. It's like money, fame, titles, rankings, all that aside, I just love fighting.
Yeah, exactly.
I just like fighting people. That's what I got into it for. I didn't get into it for anything else. All the other stuff is just like nice to have on top. I want to be the best fighter I can be. I love it. I'm in the gym every day. I just want to fight. That's been taken away from me for like nearly a year now. And that's got nothing to do with me, which is, it's a bit frustrating to be honest, but we are nearly over it now, which is good.
Tom Aspinall has just sent a crystal clear warning message to Jon Jones, and it's not what you'd expect from the usually reserved British champion. In a recent candid interview with fellow UFC star Paddy Pimblett, Aspinall dropped some bombshell revelations about the Jon Jones situation, his future plans, and why he believes the heavyweight division has been held hostage for far too long.
Didn't think they'd make Islam vacate. But if you're making Islam vacate, Jones needs to be stripped. You know what I mean? If you're making Islam vacate after 4 defences, fighting people on short notice, you should let him try and be double champ.
We're also diving deep into Paddy Pimblett's explosive comments about Jones, Dana White's latest statements on the heavyweight unification saga, and what this all means for the future of the division. Stick around because this story has more twists than a Jon Jones fight contract negotiation. Let's start with the headline that's got everyone talking. Tom Aspinall, the interim heavyweight champion who's been waiting 577 days for his shot at undisputed gold, has finally had enough of the Jon Jones circus. In a training session video with Paddy Pimblett, Aspinall delivered what can only be described as a warning shot to Jones. But here's the thing, it wasn't delivered with anger or frustration. Instead, Aspinall's message was cold, calculated, and perhaps more devastating because of its matter-of-fact delivery.
Best life, mate, in Thailand. So everybody reaches a sell-by date, don't they? Everybody's got a time limit. He's reached it, and we move on.
Everybody reaches their sell-by date, don't they? Everybody's got a time limit. He's reached it, and we move on. That's not just trash talk, folks. That's a man who's moved past caring about Jon Jones and is ready to claim what he believes is rightfully his. Aspinall continued by saying the situation is now in the past and he's excited to fight again. But the most revealing part? Aspinall confirmed he's going to fight soon, and it sounds like it won't be against Jones. This suggests the UFC is finally ready to move forward without their most problematic champion.
Dana White says I'm his man. We love that. I'm going to go and prove that pretty soon, so it's coming.
If Aspinall's comments were a surgical strike, Paddy Pimblett's were a full-scale assault. The Liverpool lightweight didn't hold back when discussing Jon Jones during their training session. Pimblett started by declaring Aspinall as the best heavyweight in the world, especially the best active heavyweight in the world, a not-so-subtle dig at Jones's inactivity. But he didn't stop there. I reckon anyone else in that position would have been stripped. He should be stripped now. This is significant because it's coming from one of the UFC's biggest current stars. Pimblett has a massive following and isn't known for creating unnecessary controversy. When he speaks out like this, people listen. But perhaps most damning was Pimblett's assessment of Jones's impact on the sport. The fact he's not stepping up and fighting you, he's let the whole MMA fan base down. And it's even more in that case when you're the reigning heavyweight champion of the world and you've got someone holding interim.
The fact he's not stepping up and fighting yet, he's let the whole MMA fan base down.
I couldn't have somebody else saying that they're going to beat me and not at least fight them. And then if I lose, at least I tried my best.
And it's even more in that case when you're the reigning heavyweight champion of the world and you've got someone holding...
It is crazy.
Heavyweight champion.
It is a crazy situation, but there's a lot of politics in there in the UFC at the top levels, and it's just like out of my hands, so there's nothing I can really...
This isn't just criticism from a fellow fighter. This is a public indictment of Jones's behavior from someone who represents the voice of the fans. Now, here's where things get really interesting. UFC President Dana White made some revealing comments after UFC 316 that might have exposed more than he intended. White confirmed that Jon Jones did initially agree to fight Tom Aspinall, stating, Jon Jones agreed to do the fight. Jon Jones was offered the deal and accepted the deal.
To clarify, you said that Jon agreed to fight Tom, yes?
Jon agreed to fight Tom?
Is that what you just said there? Before, like on the last answer, you said.
Jon agreed to fight Tom, yes.
So but he hasn't signed a contract or anything.
Right. Yeah.
So
I mean, you guys have heard me for the last however long. I said, I guarantee you this fight's going to happen. This fight's going to happen. Fight's going to happen. You guys told me the crazy shit that was going on Instagram and all these other places. But yes, I've been saying Jon is going to fight Tom.
There were some rumors out there that you guys had offered him his fuck you money and he turned it down.
Unless you hear it come from here or we put out a press release, don't believe any of this bullshit. But yes, Jon agreed to fight Tom. Fact.
But here's the kicker. White also compared Jones to Anderson Silva in terms of how difficult he is to negotiate with. That's not exactly a compliment when you consider Silva's later career controversy. Multiple reports now suggest that Jones accepted the fight verbally, but has since gone back on his word, admitting to the UFC that he's no longer interested in fighting Aspinall. Instead, rumors are swirling that Jones is eyeing a lucrative bout with Francis Ngannou.
It was kind of crazy how much interest Jon showed in the Francis Ngannou fight. Like there was some tweets going back and forth. What would happen if he came to you and says, like, I'll fight, but I won't fight Aspinall, I would fight Ngannou? Would you even be interested in that or no?
I don't have Ngannou under contract, and Aspinall's the guy.
Right. If you were put in the position, would you maybe try to get Ngannou back under contract or no?
Probably not.
This creates a massive problem for the UFC. How do you handle a champion who won't fight the #1 contender, but is willing to fight for bigger paydays elsewhere? It's a situation that's never been handled well in combat sports history. Tom Aspinall gave us rare insight into the behind-the-scenes politics that have kept him in limbo for nearly a year. In his conversation with Pimblett, Aspinall revealed his frustration with the situation. Money, fame, ranking, titles. I just like fighting. That's what I got into MMA for. That's been taken away from me for nearly a year now, and it's got nothing to do with me, which is a bit frustrating, to be honest.
But for like the last kind of 6 months, I've just not known what's going on. Do you know what the worst bit is? Like, you know this yourself, it's like money, fame, titles, rankings, all that aside, I just love fighting.
Yeah, exactly.
I just like fighting people. That's what I got into it for. I didn't get into it for anything else. All the other stuff is just like nice to have on top. I want to be the best fighter I can be. I love it. I'm in the gym every day. I just want to fight. That's been taken away from me for like nearly a year now, and that's got nothing to do with me, which is, it's a bit frustrating.
This highlights a fundamental problem in modern MMA, when politics and money supersede competition and merit. Aspinall has been the interim champion for over 18 months, has defended his title, and has been actively campaigning for the unification bout. Yet he's been held hostage by Jon Jones's indecision. Aspinall also touched on the reality of top-level UFC politics. There's a lot of politics in the UFC at the top levels. It's out of my hands, so there's nothing really else I can do about it.
It is a crazy situation, but there's a lot of politics in there in the UFC at the top levels, and it's just like out of my hands, so there's nothing I can really.
But here's what's changed. It sounds like Aspinall is no longer waiting. Reports suggest he'll be fighting Cyril Gane for the undisputed title, with Jones potentially vacating the belt. This heavyweight drama has given us everything: retirement fakeouts, contract negotiations gone wrong, and now public call-outs from fellow fighters. But most importantly, it might have given us clarity on the division's future. Tom Aspinall's warning to Jon Jones wasn't really a warning at all. It was a farewell. The interim champion is done waiting, done playing politics, and ready to claim his throne with or without Jones. We'll continue following this story as it develops. Make sure to subscribe for all the latest MMA news and analysis, and let us know in the comments, do you think Jon Jones should be stripped of the heavyweight title?
To clarify, you said that Jon agreed to fight Tom, yes?
Jon agreed to fight Tom?
Is that what you just said there? Before, like on the last answer, you said.
Jon agreed to fight Tom, yes.
So but he hasn't signed a contract or anything.
Right. Yeah. I mean, you guys have heard me for the last however long. I said, I guarantee you this fight's going to happen. This fight's going to happen. Fight's going to happen. You guys told me the crazy shit that was going on Instagram and all these other places. But yes, I've been saying Jon is going to fight Tom.
There's some rumors out there that you guys had offered him his fuck you money and he turned it down.
Unless you hear it come from here or we put out a press release, don't believe any of this bullshit. But yes, Jon agreed to fight Tom. Fact.
UFC President Dana White has just delivered a crystal clear warning message to heavyweight champion Jon Jones, and the implications could reshape the entire division. We're talking about the most anticipated heavyweight title fight in UFC history, Jones versus Tom Aspinall, and whether it will actually happen or if we're witnessing the end of an era. Stay tuned as we break down White's latest statements, analyze what this means for both fighters, and explore the growing controversy that has over 200,000 fans demanding action.
Yeah. And to go back to the thing on Jon Jones, did you see the petition online from the fans?
Yeah.
What did you just make of that?
Every human on earth was DMing it to me, and yeah, I saw it.
I mean, I know you say you always listen to the fans and give the fans what they want. I'm just curious what you make of that.
How many fans are there worldwide now? Like, what's the number? It's like 400 million or something like that. Yeah, 130,000 people want to see him stripped.
Sure.
Yeah.
Not enough.
I'm not saying that. It's kind of fucking silly.
Let's dive straight into the bombshell. At the UFC 316 post-fight press conference, Dana White didn't mince words when addressing Jon Jones's recent social media antics and retirement hints. White's message was simple but powerful. Listen, you can't make people fight. If Jon doesn't want to fight, you can't make him fight.
Forever about it, and it's his fight. Listen, you can't make people fight. If Jon doesn't want to fight, you can't make him fight. We can try to make him fight. We can throw things.
But here's where it gets interesting. White revealed that Jones has already agreed to fight Tom Aspinall, not just verbally, but he's actually accepted the deal. However, and this is crucial, no contract has been signed yet. White stated, Jon Jones agreed to do the fight. Jon Jones was offered the deal and accepted the deal.
End up happening.
Yeah, I mean, I've been saying it since the beginning, and Jon Jones agreed to do the fight. So Jon Jones was offered the deal and accepted the deal.
This puts Jones in a precarious position. He's essentially committed publicly through the UFC president. But his recent social media activity suggests he's having second thoughts, or at least playing negotiation games. The warning is clear. White won't beg, won't chase, and won't let one fighter hold up an entire division indefinitely. Now let's talk about the man caught in the middle of this chaos, Tom Aspinall. The British fighter has been the interim heavyweight champion for 18 months. Let that sink in. 18 months of being passed over, waiting in the wings, and watching Jones fight Stipe Miocic instead of unifying the titles. White was emphatic about where his priorities lie. It's Aspinall's fight. We've been talking to this kid forever about it, and it's his fight.
Jon Jones agreed to do the fight. So Jon Jones was offered the deal and accepted the deal. You know, if he's talking that crazy shit, I didn't realize that. He said he was ready to vacate the belt.
He said he doesn't care if you strip it, but he would vacate it.
Fucking crazy. Yeah, I've been busy. I haven't been keeping up with the gossip. He comes back. He's either back today or came back yesterday or whenever he's in Thailand. So he's home. We'll be home tonight. And
this is significant because it shows the UFC's commitment to Aspinall, who has been nothing but professional throughout this entire saga. He won the interim title by stopping Sergey Pavlovich when Jones was injured, then successfully defended it in July 2024. Aspinall has repeatedly called for the unification bout, and unlike Jones, he's been consistent in his messaging. He wants the fight, he's ready for the fight, and he believes he deserves the fight. White's statement essentially validates everything Aspinall has been saying and positions him as the priority, not Jones. Here's where things get really messy. Jon Jones has been playing retirement roulette on social media, one day suggesting he's done, the next day calling out Francis Ngannou for a potential return fight. But Dana White compared these negotiations to dealing with another UFC legend, Anderson Silva. White said, him and Anderson Silva, every time throughout the history of being in the business with those guys, when it comes time to fight, it's like dealing with artists. It's interesting. This comparison is telling because Silva was notoriously difficult during contract negotiations throughout his career. White is essentially saying this is just Jones being Jones, but there's a limit to everyone's patience. The fact that Jones suggested he was retired before calling out Ngannou shows the calculated nature of these moves. It's not about actual retirement, it's about leverage and trying to get the fight he wants rather than the fight that makes sense for the division. White's response? He's not playing these games anymore. The message is clear: fight Aspinall or step aside. The UFC fan base has had enough, and they're making their voices heard in unprecedented ways. A petition to strip Jon Jones of the heavyweight title has garnered over 200,000 signatures.